Good afternoon, everybody. Matt from Kick Dynamic here. Welcome to this month's webinar on inspiring ideas for your travel emails. We're currently sitting in the Kick Dynamic office around a table, myself, Katie, and our special guest. And I can't wait for the next 30 minutes of discussion and content that we have. We're going to take you through challenges and opportunities relating to the travel email space. And then we have 5 cracking ideas to help you with inspiration in your travel emails. So I'm very excited that joining us today is email expert and all-round legend, John Beefy Kirk. Hello, John.
Hello there, thank you.
John is the email marketing manager at Isolly, and will be sharing his knowledge with us for the next 30 minutes. So John, thanks for joining us. Please tell us a bit about yourself.
Cheers. Thanks for letting me come speak on this platform, first of all.
Our pleasure.
So yeah, I've come all the way from Leeds in Yorkshire, the best side of the Pennines, might I add. But yeah, so just a bit about myself. For the last sort of 7 years, I've been working in the email space. 6 of which have been specifically within travel.
Okay.
And for 4 of those years, I've been working at isolly.com. So a little bit about Isolly, I guess, is that in Q1, we were the fastest growing holiday comparison website.
Wow.
pretty good for us, I guess. And over 90% of the top UK travel agents and travel providers are now working with Isolly. So customers can come to isolly.com, use the search and find all the household brands, that you'd expect to see on there. So it's pretty good from that perspective. We've got a really experienced travel team. So people who've come from the likes of Travelzoo, Virgin, Jet2, Co-op Travel, Kayak, and many others. So we've built quite an experienced team that are well versed to put the customer front and centre of what we believe is the best holiday comparison website in the UK today.
Excellent. Good. Well, thank you very much for being here.
Cheers. Thank you.
We really appreciate you taking the time out. There is one question though that's been on my mind for a long time. Why Beefy?
Well, it's not that exciting, but yeah, basically my surname is Kirk. All the way through high school, people like to toy around with Kirk as the surname, and they used to say Kirky Turkey and Beef Jerky, and then finally it got shortened to Beef. So people were calling me Beef Jerky for a year or 2, and then they decided to drop the jerky part and just go with Beef. And it's stuck since year 4 of school. So I've been called it for a long time. So yeah, and it's stuck.
And that's always the way, I think, when you get a name from school that develops and then gets stuck completely. I won't tell you what mine is. All right, so and I haven't introduced myself. So my name's Matt, and I'm the Kick Dynamic CEO. So let's crack on. So based on the experience that you have at isolly.com right now, and also previously and the 8 years that you've worked in email marketing, give us a view of what you see the current challenges are, and the current challenges that email marketers have in travel, and also what the opportunities are as well.
Yeah. Well, the first one that we've got on that list there, so speeding up the email build process, that's a massive one for me, and that's why I put it front and center. I do think that, before being email manager, I was email developer. Now, I don't want to put the frighteners up email developers, because I think obviously that they're crucially important to the industry. But I do see a case to start thinking more about maybe adopting actual builders and drag and drop solutions.
Yeah.
Because you've got a limited amount of time to turn around a lot of these projects and campaigns. And I do think it's crucial that you kind of adopt anything that's going to help speed that process up.
Yep.
It is a little bit of a leap of faith. In previous places that I worked, I was coding the emails, and in the first part of my career at isolly.com, I was coding the emails from scratch, but I've since then adopted this drag and drop, more widely used sort of easier solution, and it's just meant that we're able to turn around campaigns quickly, turn around programs quicker. and that kind of thing. So it speeds things up, and you just need to.
I think being able to turn things around quicker and speeding things up is vitally important. I think where the kind of negativity around drag and drop may be, or the difficulty with that is a lot of people are still designing and coding the email as one kind of process.
Exactly.
So you design it, you build it, then you send it, and then you go back to design it and build it and send it, right? Which is what we call the BAU loop.
Yeah.
And people shouldn't be in that BAU loop. So it's being able to move away from that and work with a template. When you can work with a template, then it can go into a drag and drop.
And I think it's one of them where you've had development on these drag and drop builders. A lot of them have been litmus tested extensively. You know, we're talking about complicated frameworks that are quite versatile, and it means that you're not having to go through that process of doing litmus test after litmus test every single time.
Yeah.
You can go out there with confidence knowing that this template works. Let's get it out the door. You know, it's been thoroughly tested, and that's one of the key things
that's a huge opportunity as well, because once you are able to do that, then you can speed up the build process, which leads you in to then being able to do more personalization because you have more time to do that, and moving away from batch and blast.
It's shifting the focus away from batch and blast and making sure that we're actually focusing on the content that we're delivering to the consumer, because that is front and center of everything.
Yeah.
It's also, you know, automation and focusing more time away from the build and the codes of the email to setting up the rules and segmentation around programs and more sort of important things that maybe we don't always have time to be thinking about.
Yeah.
You know, we don't have a lot of smaller SMEs and smaller companies don't have a raft of email developers to be coding all this stuff together.
If any.
Exactly. It's, you know, at Isolate is me and another guy, and so we need to be as agile as possible. Yeah. And I say moving away from batch and blast is important. It's hard to get away with because obviously stakeholders want that.
Yes.
They want to push key messages, but if we can weave dynamic content into those emails, then we'll find a happy medium between the two.
So the way that we look at this actually and work with our customers on is to try and get over half of the email automated. And that's saving half of your time.
Exactly.
It's very hard to get the entire email automated because you do need to still have offers that change all the time, or merchandise type deals that you might have as well. But if you can get 50% of it there, then you're saving a huge amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. And then contextual email. I mean, obviously within travel, there's a huge amount of emphasis on making sure that you can implement things like live weather, because that can really be a key selling point to push forward destinations that people are showing interest in. It's just a no-brainer, and there's ways that you can sort of leverage that, I think, within the experience when people are on holiday as well.
Yes.
And that might be a missed opportunity that people sort of, if you've got able to capture a booking, for example, and then you exclude those people from that cycle of receiving emails, you're actually missing an opportunity, I think, by adding sort of emails that enhance their experience while they're on the trip itself.
While they're there, yeah.
So I think there's an opportunity with that contextual stuff there.
Yeah.
And obviously, I said this before, consumers are more aware of one-to-one marketing experiences now. We see it in all the things that we're doing. So whether we're watching things on Netflix and things that are being brought back to you, it's just the expectations of the consumer is increasing as we move forward, and for us to not be in that space is a massive mistake.
Yeah.
So we need to be making sure that our marketing communications are tailored specifically to the user, because it's going to drive engagement and it's going to drive a positive sentiment from that consumer.
I think that's a vital point, because I do think consumers are expecting a more personalized experience. And I think as email marketers, sometimes we can worry that we're trying to be too personalized or even too creepy with personalization. But actually, I think, yes, you can be too creepy. Like, I can see you, you're opening in London, that's creepy. But actually, what consumers want is something that is, that is tailored to them. I don't think, it'd be interesting to know whether we'll ever get to pure one-to-one where everyone is receiving everything that's completely tailored to them. I'm not sure we can, but you can definitely move to that point.
I've got faith that we can one day
Good.
get there. I think that AI is going to play a crucial role in that.
Yes. That AI plus how you manage a persona and everyone and everything that's associated with persona is another kind of 4 webinars.
Yeah, it's a huge thing.
So tell us a little bit about where you see kind of the industry and some key insights that you're seeing in the industry out there, but also with isolate.com.
Well, I'm sure that many people who work in the travel industry recognise that there is a lengthy sort of customer life cycle. It can be a 1 to 3 month window.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of like a more of an obvious one.
Yeah.
But sort of the desktop and the mobile split is exponentially growing year on year. When I was
growing to be more mobile,
a lot more mobile. That's not to neglect the desktop side, because mobile's playing the crucial part in the research phase for a consumer when purchasing a holiday.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we do see that conversion on desktop can be quite high, so that we can't neglect desktop and think everything's going to have to be mobile. Desktop is still playing a crucial role. If you think about it this way, we're not selling, jeans, for example. These are higher cost purchases, and so
do you think people are researching? So people will book on their desktop, won't they?
Yes.
They won't book on their mobile.
I think there's a generation thing.
Okay.
I know that for one, my father would never book on his mobile. He's got to be hooked up to the into the landline with the internet. I think the younger generation are using a lot of apps now where they can just book straight through mobile. But I think we still need to think mobile primarily, because obviously the shift is moving into that area a lot more predominantly.
That split is really high. In retail, it tends to be around 60-40.
Yeah.
Even though you're more likely to make a purchase.
This is the higher end of it.
Yeah.
It is, for us, it can be 60-40, more at 60-40, but for isolate. But seeing what from some of the white papers that are out there, it is drastically moving, especially if you're big in the app space and that kind of thing. The likes of Airbnb and other companies like that who are big in the app space.
Yeah.
So it's really, really. You can't sort of neglect that fact.
Yeah.
And I think a big one there again. 85% of travellers prefer personalised itineraries.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking about personalisation. That's just. I feel like that's another obvious point.
Yeah.
I think one of the more scarier ones, and we were talking about this before, is that 88% of users say they have no brand loyalty.
That stood out a little bit to me.
Yeah. It's a little bit concerning, because obviously people do think these are my customers and they're only mine because they're on our email list, and obviously we can use certain tools, return path and things, to see subscriber overlap, but it just shows that there is less and less brand affinity that people have nowadays, because people they're aware that the comparison engines are out there, and they just want the cheapest deal and get that booked at the best price at the time they want to go, and that's the key. And I think that's a real highlight there. So there's never been more importance to sort of fight in the inbox.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's a stat that every travel email should have written on their board or something like that, right? Because it means that you have to do the best marketing that you can to get their attention and get them excited about what you're offering them, because they could go somewhere else really, really easily.
Yeah, exactly. And I think obviously as well, we've always kind of, at iSlolly, been sort of emphasising that holidaymakers travel maybe once, twice a year. People kind of have that sort of idea in the head that people just have that one holiday that they save up for and they go away for. But we're finding that people are sort of tapping into city breaks a lot more and experiences and different things that travel companies are trying to expand their offering just beyond the traditional holiday packages. And that means that people are now traveling like 3.5 times a year, and millennials as high as 4. And that's a huge opportunity. And it means that we shouldn't be capping frequency on emails. We should be trying to it's just something that I noticed that bigger brands seem to email less. I was seeing some stats that I won't name the companies, but once a week, twice a week. And I really do think that they might be missing a trick there.
I think it's also changing a bit of maybe a traditional marketing method that maybe you'd have in travel, that is everyone books at this time of the year. It still happens, of course, Q1 being the big, but also because people are traveling more, then there's actually it's going to change throughout the year when they're making the booking, and also how they do it and everything like that. So it's just remembering that.
And obviously just the expanding of offering that companies have, tapping more into UK markets, maybe when there's a lull in the traditional sun market in the summer. So just having those bases covered, but I mean that's more of a product thing than specifically email, but definitely for consideration.
Okay, good, cool. So let's move on and give us an overview of the recommended deals award-winning campaign here.
Yeah, so basically we've won an award recently for the innovation in integration, which was an award given to us by Mailer. And what the award recognised was essentially us combining technology powers, which included Kick Dynamic, of course. But essentially what this is we don't take facilitated bookings at isolly.com, not at the moment. We're essentially the middleman. So the last touch point that we really have with the consumer is their most recent search. And what that means is that's kind of the key tipping point that we have. It's kind of like being a detective. We need to kind of work out the intent there and make sure that we're sending marketing around that intent. And what the recommended deals is, we have a curated section of top deals, as we call them at iSolly, and that's basically hand-picked curated offers. And what it means is, because we think that this is the best product, we've built this whole marketing sort of program in email around these deals. And it means that if you come to iSolly and you engage with one of our top deals, then we can resurface that in an email with all the detailed and relevant information.
Excellent.
And keep, I don't want to say pestering that person, but acknowledging that they have engaged with that. And we have seen some really good results with that, which you can see here. I mean, 35% higher open rate. I mean, that's more to do with us capturing the dynamic subject line and putting that back into the email itself.
Excellent.
But in terms of what's really driving and empowering the email is obviously the Kick Dynamic technology, which is powered by search information that we're capturing from GA and running through BigQuery. And that's seen a 201% improvement in click-through rate.
Wow.
And 45% increase in conversion, which is obviously really nice. So I think one of the things to sort of emphasize here is that we are massively conversion driven at iSolly, and so onboarding a technology like Kick Dynamic was all about the conversion, and it's it's definitely doing the legwork there. So we've seen a lot of success with that, and we just want to drive that forward and evolve it to include more deal information and a bit more customizable things in there.
I think first of all, I think it's an amazing campaign. Of course, I would say that. But I think what I really like about it and how you approached it, and anyone that's listening now, is you don't have to go crazy with personalization or crazy with a use of a technology. It's a case of implementing it in certain campaigns to see how it performs, analyzing it in a really deep way like you've done, and then saying, okay, here's the return we're getting, great. Now here's the cost of this, and here's them rolling it out. And that's really important, especially when it's really you're really kind of driven on that.
Yeah, we're not taking the bookings, so the margins are tight there, and it means that we 100% need to make sure that it works.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the beauty of this particular piece is that, going back to the batch and blasting, we can strategically insert these Kick dynamic placements within our emails that are more ad hoc, part of the more batch and blasty type emails, and make sure that we're still delivering some kind of dynamic content in those emails.
Yes.
So it's that happy medium between the two.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a turnkey solution for us in terms of enhancing all the email offering that we have.
Okay. Excellent. Good. All right, let's crack on, because we're coming up to 30 minutes, and we've got kind of another 5 ideas that we wanted to share with everyone for enhancing their travel email. And the first one is around the abandoned booking email that you have. So similar to the kind of abandoned browse, abandoned booking, of course, is when someone is going through the booking process and then doesn't finish that booking process. But and we hope that anyone who's listening that has this email is sending it, first of all, because you should be. But also, what we want to get across is you can include live pricing in this. And that's what's really important for this type of campaign, because especially when you're talking about flights and things like that, where pricing can change quite regularly, you want to make sure that when someone receives this email, the price that they see within the content is the price that they can then go and actually buy that flight with, in this example. So really important to think about that for anyone that's not doing this email. Hopefully everyone is, but for people who are, we can add that live pricing in there. And then another example, which I think is something that's really engaging for customers, is what's called live polling. And that's the ability to get recipients to vote and share what they might be interested in. And as you can see in this example, we're kind of saying, where do you want to go to next? Beach holiday, city break, ski, or adventure? And as you click on that to say, okay, I want to go to the beach, I want a beach holiday, and you look at the email again, then you're going to see those percentages change because it's live and it's tracking the votes. Yeah. So it's really engaging kind of email that will get recipients looking at it, coming back, and also sharing what they're interested in. Don't think Iceland have done this yet, have they?
No, it's something that we would definitely see value in. We've seen polls that we've done on social that have had huge engagement. Some of the biggest engaged campaigns that we've run on social have been polls. I think what's good with the email side of things, and you say it here, with using click data to personalise future recommendations, we'd be capturing those clicks,
exactly,
and pulling them back into the customer records to then use that for segmentation in the future, which is basically data mining essentially through the email.
Yeah. What I really like about it as well is it's not selly, and you can be in danger of coming across too selly in email, especially in travel, especially in like in isolate.com sector within travel. So this is a way, and we've got this example here. It's kind of taking up the entire phone, but you can put it in different places in the email content as well. It doesn't have to be kind of front and center, so it keeps those clicks up and that engagement level. Okay, so and kind of following on from that as well, from an engagement point of view, and you mentioned social at isolate.com as well. Using open time technology and Kick Dynamic, you're able to easily add blog content and social content into an email that's always updating.
Yeah.
So that means that if you open an email today, you'll see the latest Instagram images. If you open an email in a month's time, the exact same email, it will update to the latest Instagram images. So the benefit of that it's always live, so you're always seeing the latest, but it also, going back to one of the points right at the beginning, is it's automated. Yeah. Because you set it up once and it always updates. Yeah. And we speak with a lot of customers and a lot of brands who can't get this into their email because they can't find a way of doing it. And we provide a really good way of doing that. So it's a really, really good idea for that.
We definitely want to work more with the blog side as well. I mean, the content is king now within marketing, and there's never been a more important time to make sure that you're pulling relevant content, whether it be about the top 5 tips into Mallorca, if you know that someone's got the propensity to look at Mallorca deals. And it just means that if they're not engaging with the deals, there's an element that they might be more sort of influenced by the content. So we're definitely working on a way of pulling that in using the Kick Dynamic stuff, which should, I'm hoping, be next year.
Good. Okay. So moving forward, we have 2 left. Firstly, we have something that is a really unique one, but it's actually really powerful, is countdown to check-in. So we're able to have a countdown timer that ticks down to how long we have left someone needs to check in for their flight. It's really powerful. Obviously this is kind of going back to what we're talking about is in terms of putting it in the email that happens after you've made a booking, right? So you've made a booking and you're now in that process. So a really good example there. And then moving on from there as well around where people are in once you've made a booking and what to do next is something that we call the additional revenue opportunities. And this can be in a pre-stay email, and we do this for a really big hotel group where you can show restaurants, activities, car hire options, and recommendations all live for the time that you're going to travel in the destination you're going to travel. So if you're going to New York at the weekend, you're going to see what's happening in New York at the weekend, what the car hire pricing is going to be like, best restaurants that are around that weekend. And I'm going to travel to Melbourne at the weekend and I'm going to see the exact same thing, all within the same email, all updating. So really, really powerful to put that in that email process.
Yeah, it's definitely one where you need to definitely be thinking about how you pull ancillaries dynamically into email to upsell on those opportunities. So yeah, really, really powerful stuff.
Good stuff. All right. We finished almost bang on time. Look at that. So, John, thank you very, very much for joining us today. We really, really appreciate it. We don't have time for any questions, so we will stop. So if anyone does have a question, please email us and we'll get back to you. And thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. Cheers.
No problem.